2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 202 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how's it going?
Good, man. How'd you survive the holiday weekend there?
Not too bad. I had to work both the holiday and over the weekend.
Yes, I remember those days.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's I still had to work. So
yeah, the newspaper man works the holiday weekends. I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, Fourth of July is a all hands holiday. So
oh yeah, that's right. I remember.
Yep.
Remember fondly. Well, you probably did better than we did. We were I didn't get sick, but everybody else in my house has got the plague. So
don't be bragging about not getting sick, because there's still time, James.
Well, I'm built different than most people. Superior genetics, I guess.
Oh God, do you guys all remember that next week when we have to postpone the podcast?
Yeah, you already did postpone the podcast for that crew up that's upstairs right now. So yeah, everybody's doing better. But yeah, we had a great weekend, and then holy smokes, Monday hit, and man, yeah, good times. Good,
gotta love it. Things are normal, and everybody's getting sick again.
Yeah, you nailed it. You texted me a couple months. Well, it was probably a month or so ago. You were like, "Hey, things are back to normal now for you." I'm like, "Yeah, everybody's sick. Yep. Kids are coming home with all sorts of crud." So that was fun. But
yeah. So far, we both had to cancel because of illness. Although mine was because of me, not you, or not.
Yes,
yours wasn't you, but
right.
Either way, James, who had a good weekend?
Hendrick Motorsports in general.
Yeah, as they've had pretty much an entire good year. Yeah. But Chase Elliott had a pretty good weekend too.
Yeah, he did.
Chase Elliott gets the win again at a road course. This is what, 6 of the last 8, I believe.
Yeah, and boy, are we dumb.
Neither of us picked them. We're both idiots.
I know, and we talked about it on the podcast last week too. Like, Kyle Larson, he's really good, and Chase Elliott, just put it on him. Didn't qualify, but put it on him anyway. So.
Yeah, didn't qualify. Started in the back, and just still stumped.
Yeah, he just methodically worked his way up all race long, and didn't score.
24 laps led out of 62 laps.
Yeah, and he didn't score a whole lot of points for this race for winning. It looks like he only got 1 point for stages, but I mean, the whole third stage was all Chase Elliott. I mean, it was over once he got to the front.
Well, and the stage thing is kind of deceiving, because if you really look down the order here, you look at the drivers that finished high up in the stages. Yeah. I mean, you look at William Byron, he finished 33rd on the race, but finished first and second in the first 2 stages. And that's because it was all strategy.
Right.
With the road course deal, most of the guys who are racing for the win are not going to be racing for stage points, because you pick one or the other.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate side effect of this particular system with the stages. And Dale Jr. has a suggestion on how to fix that, and we'll get into that in a minute, because I want to talk about it, because Dale Jr. is wrong.
Whoa.
I know it doesn't happen very often that I disagree with Dale Jr.
I didn't see that coming.
I disagree with him on this one. Only because it's not going to solve the problem. We'll get to it in a minute. So Chase Elliott gets the win. Christopher Bell, good day for him, comes home second place.
Yep.
Kyle Busch follows up his winning ways in Pocono, or lucking into a win with the 3rd place finish here.
Yep.
Kurt Busch too, 4th place, top 5 for Kurt.
Yeah, the Busch brothers had a great day. Kyle, obviously wrecked in practice, backup car, all that good stuff. Yeah. And another methodical charge to the front. He's been pretty funny on the post-race interviews, just basically saying like Hendrick's got something like a little bit more than us. That's like the 3rd or 4th time I've heard him say like he can't. I think this week it was, I can't do anything with the way Chase Elliott can brake and not wear his tires down. And it's true, man. It's like they're running 2 different races out there.
Yeah.
It's just, the way Chase Elliott is able to, using that word again, methodically work his way around this track. I mean, he's he's the best at it. He's going to have the all-time record maybe before the season's over.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again a little deceiving because we raced 2 road courses for years and we're doing 7 this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's pretty incredible to be able to get it done that quickly.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting, James. I'm curious to see what happens next year with the new car, whether Hendrick is able to carry this dominance through, or if it's really something that they've just hit on with this car.
Yeah.
And the question is how much of the other teams given up on this season and already working on next season?
Yeah.
How much effort is Hendrick putting in versus everybody else? We know these guys. If they've got the money to spend, they're putting the money in this year and trying to win and trying to beat Hendrick. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. That it'll obviously we got a completely different car next year. There is nothing the same. Nothing. I mean, they're not gonna run the same damn tires next year.
The only thing that's the same is the butts in the seats of the or who are going to be driving them. That's
maybe the seat inserts are the same. That's
maybe
about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even pulling lug nuts off of this car to run next year. I mean,
and we're it's funny. We talk about it a little bit more every week, but we're inching closer. We only have a handful of races left in the regular season now,
which is crazy. It feels like it just started.
I know. And then we're going to be putting this car to bed within 16 more weeks of racing, and that's the end of this car. So we're getting closer, and I don't know, that's a great point. I think it's something to keep an eye on. I feel like we're going to be shaking a snow globe at the beginning of the year a little bit next year, but somebody's going to come to the track more prepared than everybody else. And Eric, it could be Hendrick Motorsports for all we know. They have the resources to match, so we will see.
It'll be really interesting with all the spec parts and all that, whether somebody can really get an advantage the way they're able to now with finessing this car. I mean, I guess you look at the Xfinity series. Of course, it's not a spec series there. It's the bodies are all spec bodies, but there's the rest of the parts are still manufactured in-house and whatnot. So it's not a true parallel line, but you still see teams come to the top of the heap there too. So
absolutely.
I don't know, it'll be interesting. One guy worth mentioning in this one that was very impressive early, then broke the rear gear was Austin Cindric. Man, finished 38.
That was
fun. He was there. He was racing for a win, man.
Yeah, killed my fantasy day, that one.
I was so lucky because I was gonna put him in and remembered about 3 laps into the race. I'm like, oh man, I completely forgot. And he's up there running up front. And it's like, oh, I'm such an idiot. And then he broke. I was so happy.
Oh man, that was Eric, the entire weekend, that was the best racing we saw all weekend. Was him and DiBenedetto duking it out, and they were not giving each other nothing. They were leaning on each other. I mean, it's
funny. DiBenedetto gets up in the seat a little bit more when that 33 car's around him.
There's a built-in rivalry there, right? So that was a lot of fun. And man, watching Austin Cindric wheel on these road courses is just, he's impressed me more than I think any, I guess, quote unquote rookie. He's not officially a full-time rookie yet. He will be next year, but watching him at Road America on the slicks, on the wet, was impressive. And then watching him drive that car, there's something to be said about preserving your equipment a little bit, but watching him do his thing was just awesome. I mean, it was just great battle. And I was super surprised by DiBenedetto, the way he was able to wheel with him. I mean, that was just great wheel-to-wheel racing. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch. Again, that, like you said, that built-in rivalry. I think DiBenedetto certainly has something to prove against Austin Cindric, especially with the situation going on at Penske with Brad likely leaving. Or we can just talk like everybody else does and say Brad leaving, because we know what's happening. We just haven't gotten the announcement yet.
Yes.
So that was interesting. Definitely. And I agree with you. That was some of the best racing of the weekend for sure.
Yeah, it was great. And shout out to DiBenedetto on his race. I mean, he didn't have long run speed, but great. Just you knew he was there, and it's been a minute since we've seen him have a weekend like that. So that was great.
He got a top 10 finish, and then that battle with Cindric. Talk about walking a tightrope. You don't want to tear either car up, because obviously it's the same team.
Yeah. And
you don't want to hurt any feelings of the team, but you want to prove yourself against that driver. I think he handled it the best way possible by racing aggressively without racing stupid. And I think he did a nice job with it. So.
Yeah, these guys have nothing to lose. I mean,
no.
At this point, DiBenedetto's got to win. And the only way to win is to, be as aggressive as he was. And And yeah, I mean, that was two wheelmen just duking it out. And that was, and Kyle Busch was, patiently waiting for something to happen.
Right.
And then something did happen, which, eventually Austin did break, which was a bummer for him. He's got one more shot. I think he's running the Glen. So we'll see him one more time before I don't think he's allowed to run in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, I think that's the rule.
Yeah, we won't see him at the Roval, but we'll get to see him at the Glen, and I will stupidly probably pick him on my fantasy team again, and we'll see if it finally works out for me.
Speaking of teammates potentially taking out teammates, we had a little collision between a couple Hendrick guys. TV wanted to play it up a little bit to maybe it was going to be a little bit exciting, but they didn't go too hard on it. Alex Bowman gets into Larson, spins him out, but it was pretty obvious. I think, James, I think you'd agree that there was no intent there. There was no even trying to do anything there. That was just all out. My brakes ain't working.
Yeah, that's a tough corner, man. They are really coming in. I actually played some NASCAR heat the other day, and I was racing with the Cup cars at Road America, and I was trying to hit that corner every time, and it's so hard to slow down from. I think I could get it up to about 165, 170 heading in, and trying to slow down that fast in that corner. Just in the video game is really hard, so I can't imagine what real life must be like. So taking his teammate, he doesn't want to do that, and those guys were fine, but it's definitely a difficult corner, especially when you're racing tight towards the end of the day.
Right.
To make something happen.
I almost fired up Heat myself because I struggle with these road courses, this one, Mid Ohio, because especially this one, because it's so long, because I just don't know where the turns are. Like Circuit of the Americas, I'm good. I've played that in games, so I recognize the way the track looks, so I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at. And I've, in games I've run so many laps at Sears Point and Watkins Glen, that those ones are, again, I know exactly where on the track they are just watching the TV coverage. But these new road courses, man, I struggle with. And this track is long. I mean, I'm familiar with Canada Corner, I'm familiar with the kink, but I get lost in the laps here. So
yeah, it's tough. Mid Ohio's tough too, but they added that carousel at Sonoma, and that's not fun either.
Yeah. I still recognize that because I ran a lot of laps on that old version of the track back in the day.
Yeah.
I guess, other than Chase Elliott coming back and getting the win, celebrating with fans at the end of the race. Speaking of which, tons of fans there.
That was cool.
There was a lot of talk about 100,000 fans there. That I think that number is stretched a little bit because they talked about 170 over the weekend. Yeah. And just assuming that there were 100,000 there. But either way, it's a really big crowd. Pretty awesome when you think about it. I didn't really think about it leading up to it that, Wisconsin with a cup race. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. That's an area that's been underserved by cup racing. I mean, they've got Chicagoland, but nobody in their right mind drives through Chicago to go to Chicagoland from Wisconsin. I mean, so yeah, I mean, this is cool for them. And it sounds like everybody had a really good time.
Well, they took our date, so they better enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I have to say about it.
Exactly. I might even think, I'm not really excited about going to a road course, but man, as much as everybody talked about it this weekend, I'm tempted to take the trip next year.
Yeah. What'd you think about the racing overall at this place? The first time we've been there, we couldn't really evaluate Coda. That was Coda was definitely more of a show for what it was that day. But what'd you think of the racing overall?
I think the Xfinity race was better because those guys can lean on each other better. This package just doesn't work really well right now with the road courses and the aggression that you want to see, especially in a skinny track like this.
Yeah.
I think the new car next year will make it better.
I agree.
And obviously I think it's going to drive better too. So it probably will be more exciting there as a result as well.
Yeah.
I was satisfied with it. I thought it was a good race. I don't know, James, I'm trying to stay optimistic with the number of road courses we have because I do like road racing.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've got too many. Yeah. But I don't want to be that person that's bitching about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to complain about it in a couple of weeks when we talk about Indianapolis because as much as the big track sucks for races, I just am not a fan of losing that race in place, getting the road course.
I'm glad you mentioned Indianapolis. I think I misspoke. I think Cindric is going to run that one. I'll have to look at that. I know he's running one more road course.
He ran well there in the Xfinity car.
So I'm glad you brought that up so I can check. I can check myself.
Yeah. So I don't know, James. I mean, I like it's something different. I'm excited about. Let's put it this way. I'm excited about a new venue with a cup date. I think that's awesome. We took a race away from another track, although it was our track, Michigan, to
Yeah.
give this race a date, which I think is great. I think we need to do more of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm
Yeah.
all right with going to some road courses. I don't,
Well,
as long as we're willing to switch it up and we don't just keep adding them. I'm a little nervous about now we're running an Indy in the road course and then we're going to go and throw a Chicago street course into, and like, okay, pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think casual NASCAR fans are going to get a little bit of a reality check here. You know, NASCAR fans are used to a certain style of road course racing. This was more, I guess this was a little bit more traditional road course, where you'll, it's a little bit more stretched out. It's not slam and bang. Like you said, it's just not, this track's not built that way. So we'll see next year. I liked it. I thought it's a good addition to the schedule. I just think you're right. I think we're maxed out on our road courses, and I know we're going to be adding a street course here in a couple of years. So I think we're good. I'm good with it. I still prefer the ovals myself, but that's okay. Road course racing is good, and different venues are good, and different areas of the country. Like you said, it's great for Wisconsin to have a date, and this is it's a world-class facility, and we should be there. I think it's been overall a success.
If we're going to add a NASCAR road course, there is not a better NASCAR road course to add than this one, with the camping available and the viewing lines that are available for fans and just the overall fan experience. And I wasn't there again, but just hearing everybody talk about it, seeing all the reports and stuff, this is a perfect track for NASCAR. This is a place we should be at. I think, I can't remember, I think it was Junior said, sign us up for 10 years. He said, sign a contract with him for 10 years. Maybe that's stretching a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with this date. I think this is one to continue to come to. And yeah. I mean, I think it showed well. And by the sounds of things, traffic wasn't too bad, although there were a lot of concerns, and good deal. Now, one issue, caution flags.
Yes.
So we come back to this. We had a really long caution. I believe Jeff Gluck timed it, and it was 22 minutes long at the end of stage 1. And a lot of people are very upset about the fact that it's 22 minutes long. But if you really think about it, the stage breaks are probably 15 minutes long to begin with. So it's really not that much longer. But so here's the deal. We had a caution with 2 laps to go to round out the stage. And because of that, NASCAR has a rule that they close pit road with 2 laps to go. So they couldn't open pit road. And NASCAR has a rule that stage needs to end when it ends, and they couldn't go back to green. So they ran 2 extra caution laps, then did the whole stage break, did all the crap that they do with that, and then went back racing. And by the time we got back to green, it was 22 laps. Now, Dale Jr. says the way to solve this problem is to get rid of the caution flag at the end of the stages on the road courses, only on the road courses. And he says this keeps it consistent because your stages are the same length, blah, blah, blah. And we don't have this issue. The problem is we do have this issue, because this issue wasn't because of the caution flag for the stage end. It was because of the caution flag for the wreck. And if you close pit road at the end of the stage, you still have to go those extra 2 laps before you finish the stage. So you're still got a 22-minute caution. It's the same exact issue that we had.
Right.
I think what we need to do is NASCAR needs to do the same thing with stages on road courses and everywhere, honestly, because when the stage racing first started, I went to an Xfinity race at Michigan that we had something real similar to this happen, where I think we remember that one 3 or 4 caution laps before we had the stage end, and it was just ridiculously long. So the way to solve this problem is to do exactly like we do with competition cautions. NASCAR already makes a determination, hey, we're not going to go back to green before the end of this stage. We're going to run it out. So, okay. At this point, 2 laps to go on a stage. This is your stage break. We're going to award points now. Pit, get done, send you back out, and hey, there's an extra lap in the next stage. We already cut laps out of the stage because of the caution laps. So why can't we add a couple laps in by ending the stage early? This doesn't manipulate anything. It doesn't give us any judgment calls. It just makes it a little bit more fluid if a caution comes out, that we don't have to spend 22 laps under caution.
Yeah. Or if a car is stuck in a trap and there's a caution coming in 2 laps, you could just leave the car in the trap.
See, but I have a problem with that, James, because it's right back to that same tire issue.
I was going to go there with you. Yes. Yes.
If it's a safety issue, which it is, if that car got into the sand trap there, then another car can end up in the sand trap there as well.
That's right.
I don't like that. And then that is a judgment call because now we're determining whether we're going to let it go green or not.
Yep.
And that guy now is, I mean, yes, he should be punished for crashing, but he's now down 2 extra laps because you ran the race out and didn't dig him out of the sand trap.
But NASCAR's also set precedent that they call cautions whenever they feel like it. So
that's true.
It doesn't matter. Like I can scream about safety all I want, and I've done that on this podcast before. NASCAR doesn't care. They've already shown that they don't care about safety. They use cautions as entertainment, and 22 minutes of caution is not entertainment.
Well, and that's the other argument I have for against Junior with his not throwing the caution is that, guys, the reason NASCAR has stage breaks has less to do with awarding points than it does to stopping the race and giving us a restart.
Right.
That is the whole point to stage breaks.
That's right.
They sell it by giving points out. They make the racing better because now you're racing to the end of that stage by awarding points. But really, we did a caution clock in the Truck Series before we switched to the system. This is what it's about.
Eric,
and hey, guess what? SRX is doing it too. They just do it a different way.
Yeah, that's right. Eric, without looking at it, here's how much stage points really matter. Who scored the most points on Sunday? Off the top of your head, if you haven't seen it.
It's right next to me, but I'm not looking at it.
Don't look at it. See, there you go. This is how much stage points matter.
I can't even tell you. I don't even have a clue.
All right, I'm looking at it. Tyler Reddick in 8th place because of different strategy throughout the day. But it just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're not really keeping track of points. We just want the cautions for the restarts, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. Whatever.
The other solution for this particular track is there is a shortcut option available that you could run shorter caution laps. Yes, you run into issues with fuel mileage then trying to figure out fuel mileage because now you're not running the full distance, but we also do the same damn thing with extending the race for green, white checkers. So I don't know. I personally just think the solution is to make that stage end fluid if we have to because of cautions.
These teams are smart enough to figure out that calculation though. I'm not. Here's the thing.
I mean, the same thing will happen if you move the stage end, but the same thing happens if the caution comes out because that changes fuel mileage too. So
yeah, I know it's all convoluted. It's a mess. Yeah, this track's just huge, man, and
it's a big track.
And local yellows aren't really safe. And what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah, local yellows were an option 20 years ago, but Formula One doesn't use local yellows anymore for cars, crashed.
Yeah.
If you send workers out on the track, you got to throw a caution, and that's just the way it is. I mean,
look at the Detroit Grand Prix if you want to see what a local caution does. It doesn't do anything. Cars are going to crash into people, and it's not great. So,
honestly, just look for incidents with caution cars. I mean, there's been so many incidents of even under caution, cars getting hit or safety vehicles getting hit in NASCAR. Now let's run at speed. Come on.
Yeah.
It's
not.
It's
not
good. Yes, you're supposed to slow down for I think Mike Joy said it or somebody tweeted it this week. The local yellow is about not passing. It really isn't to slow down.
Yeah.
And so it's still going to be dangerous.
It is. That's right. So,
and then you run into judgment calls with that because we're doing this. I mentioned in our little group chat that Supercross does local yellows. Mm-hmm. And they have issues all the time because people pass when they're not supposed to, or they double jump when they're not supposed to. And it's and you can't, if you don't see the flag, you have an excuse, but you don't have an excuse. And it's just too many judgment calls.
It's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess. Yep.
So, all right. Anything else with this one? You mentioned Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick had a good day. Tyler Reddick's sneaky good on these road courses. Finished 8th.
Yeah, he is.
Like I said, scored tons of points.
Yep. Chase Briscoe, man. Chase Briscoe was really good. You can tell he just doesn't quite have the car that everybody else does, but
you want somebody who's waiting for the Indy road course. That's your guy right there.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. He was he was on my fantasy team for the week too. I was really pulling for him. I really want to see him do well, and this was a really good race for him. He started in the back too. He started right next to Chase Elliott, so that was a heck of a day for Chase. Both the Chases, they had a good day, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I agree. Nobody else is really jumping out at me. I know Bubba Wallace had a decent day, finished 24th, but was running well throughout the race.
Yeah. Some guys who could have had a good day, like Michael McDowell, the Dinger, they had their days kind of foisted by other things. Yeah. Cindric, obviously, we mentioned. Kevin Harvick just struggling, on the road courses again. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, pretty good mix of guys you would expect and guys you kind of wouldn't. So it's definitely nice.
Yeah, I think it was a good race. It was, like you said, it was something different. Any new venue is a good venue to me.
Yeah,
I think
for right now. Yeah,
anytime we go to a
absolutely.
new place is good. So
Yep.
we've been really stale over the last few years. Running the same tracks over and over and over again. It's nice to have some variety.
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Saturday we kick things off with the Xfinity race. Xfinity race has always been pretty good here at Road America, and KB
KFB
gets it done
KFB.
again. 201 now.
101.
Right? 201? 101. Sorry.
101.
Yeah, 101. Sorry. 101
Yeah. Yes.
in the Xfinity series. Gets the win and puts it to him. Leads only 5 laps on the day.
Yep. But that's, that's like 150 miles at Road America. So yeah, that was a good day.
Right.
Your boy, Daniel Hemrick,
Yeah,
I thought maybe, but once Kyle got out front, it was over.
I forget what the stat was as to how many second place finishes he has now, but it's a lot.
He's racking them up. He's definitely racking them up. He's due. He'll get one this year somewhere. It's going to happen. Have faith. It will happen.
This is Kyle's 4th victory out of 4 races this season in the Xfinity series. He is running one more this weekend in Atlanta and has a chance to go 5 for 5.
He is going for it, baby. 5 for 5
in his last Xfinity series season, supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. We'll see.
He keeps talking about how it's going to be his last, but I think he's talking about it in the same way that he got everybody all fired up over smashing the guitar at Nashville and then didn't do it.
Yeah, he'll race. Kevin Harvick's retired from the Xfinity series too, and he finished 6th on Saturday. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
101 victories and 361 NASCAR Xfinity series starts. James, he's won almost a third of the races he's competed in.
Yeah, yep. He'd have 201 if they wouldn't have put a cap on him.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Michael Annett, great day for him, finishes 3rd. Another, again, sneaky good road course driver. You don't really think of him a whole lot, but he's always right up there. AJ Allmendinger ran well as expected. I thought he finishes 4th.
Yeah, I thought AJ was going to win this one. He led the most laps. Him and Cindric, of course, were doing their thing, but I thought it was AJ's day. Didn't turn out that way for him, but he's already got one at Mid Ohio. He'll probably win the Indy Road Course or something.
Well, AJ went 1 for 1 on the stage, or 2 for 2 on the stages as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was kicking butt. Of those.
Yeah, he was kicking butt.
It looked like one of those instances where somebody could win the stages and win the race. It certainly did. Ty Gibbs performed really well and then fell out with transmission issues.
Yeah, his worst
for him.
Yep, his worst finish now. He looked pretty good. He's listed under. I didn't know this. He was technically not racing for Gibbs. He was racing for XCI Racing, which
interesting.
Which was Gibbs made the car and everything.
Right.
I didn't see that. I guess I didn't realize that. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's Gibbs, man.
Eric, Natalie Decker made an appearance. You want to talk about that?
Sure. What do you want to talk about? I don't have anything to say.
She was there.
Where'd she finish? 32nd. I know they were talking about it on DBC that she was 9 to 7 seconds slower than the rest of the field.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I feel bad. I feel like I pick on her every time she runs, and I shouldn't, but I do.
I don't know, man. I think you put yourself out there, and
yeah,
kind of should be expected. So, anything else with this one, James, worth talking about?
Just short and sweet. It was a good race as always. Next Xfinity Series puts good racing on.
We joke about the length of this track and stuff, but these 10-lap stages here are kind of fun.
Yeah, they are kind of fun. They go by fast. Faster than you think. It's long, but they go by faster than you think.
Yeah, it's a good track. This is a great track for the Xfinity series. I hope the Cup car I hope they're able to race a little bit more aggressively next year with the new car.
Yeah. The Xfinity cars can definitely be more aggressive, which is
just a skinny track, and you kind of got to rough each other up to pass. And when you've got cars that you eliminate yourself from the race because you bump fenders, it's just hard to do that, to race that way. So
yep. You don't have that problem in the Xfinity series.
No, you do not. All right. Let's talk about the other racing series, James, before we move on to the NASCAR news of the week. SRX series has earned a spot in our race recap section of the podcast.
Couple more weeks.
Yeah, they were at Indianapolis Raceway Park. I think is it O'Reilly Raceway Park now, or
I think it's ORP.
No, it's Lucas Oil Raceway.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Raceway. There you go.
Yeah, yep. That's right. It's Indianapolis Raceway Park, guys.
It's IRP.
Ernie Francis Jr. gets the win and stinks up the show, man.
Yeah.
This was maybe the first dull race of the SRX series until the end, at least.
Yeah, it was good at the finish, but
Yeah.
nothing much. This is the first time we're kind of like, it was okay. You know, coming back from Eldora is tough. That's tough one.
This track, just as much as everybody loves this track,
yeah,
it's just not a stock car track, man. This
It's
track
fun
is
on
made
the-
for midgets.
yeah, it's fun on the video game to race it because
Yeah.
the corners are pretty technical, but and I think not to say my experience with IRP is the same as Ernie Francis, but Ernie, you know, he's a technical guy. I mean, he comes from Trans Am, so he has Eric. We joke a little bit about SRX not having superstars, but Ernie Francis is making a bit of a push for some attention here. I have learned a ton about this kid,
Yeah.
and almost feel like somebody in NASCAR should maybe give him a peek, especially if we're going to be running, this many road courses moving forward. I feel like him being 23 years old and already, winning. Gosh, Eric, he's got a boatload of Trans Am wins already. I feel like he deserves maybe a look, just based on what I've been watching in the SRX series. I mean, he's going head to head with Tony Stewart every single week, and he's only 30 points out of the championship lead. So that's I don't know. I've seen some good signs from him. I feel like I hope maybe before the end of this year, or even maybe into next year, Eric, that maybe he gets a look in the Xfinity series, just to get him some seat time and see what he can do.
Yeah, I think, this series is interesting because I think it does have the potential to give some names to these guys who maybe in other series that we just aren't familiar with. And Ernie Francis is becoming a star because of this series. He's being exposed to an entire group of people that he was not exposed to previously. And so, I mean, he's getting a lot of talk. I hear talk about SRX in the NASCAR broadcast. So, it's doing what they wanted it to do. It's getting attention. And if they continue to put on compelling races, this season, I think, is a good example of these guys not making idiots out of themselves.
Yeah.
That will entice other people to participate next year, maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on what they do with field size and whether they bring some of these guys back and try to make, stars out of them in the series, or whether they rotate like IROC used to do. There's a lot of potential here. I really think there is.
Well, and shout out to the local guys who are getting a shot each week too. And we're going to see one at Slinger. The kid, I'm going to say it. The kid's name escapes my mind, but he's 17 years old and he won the Slinger Nationals and will get a chance to race some of these legends this coming week at a track that I think, Eric, the entertainment factor is going to be back. I've been touting Slinger since I saw it.
Luke Fenhouse, by the way.
Thank you, Luke Fenhouse. Yeah, he won, beat Eric Jones and a handful of some of the great late model drivers out there, and he will get his shot to race against some of these stars, some of these all-time greats, and that's pretty cool, man. If he can go out there and have a great run at Slinger against and Ernie Francis, who's making a name for himself, and Tony Stewart and heck, Elio Castroneves has been running pretty well. I've been enjoying. The Indy 500 trophy was at ORP or IRP for the first time, I think. So that was pretty cool. But it's cool. These, Ernie Francis is one of those young guys, but we've got these local guys getting a shot. And Eric, we've got another name coming that we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, we do. Before we get to that, now I lost my train of thought.
No, we were going to talk about, I think we were moving on towards Mr. Paul Tracy making.
I wasn't quite there yet, but let's get into that. So first of all, Paul Tracy, James, I know, James, you're not a fan of Paul Tracy.
He's not a fan of, well, hold on. He's not a fan of me.
I think he's not a fan of you because you're not a fan of him. But so I will say that this came out that Tracy, he's torn up some equipment. He's torn up some sheet metal.
He's
or body panels. He's torn up some cars.
Yeah.
He's been pretty rough on equipment, but apparently he went and bought gift cards for the entire crew at SRX to try and make up for all the work that they're having to do. But yeah, we had some tempers flaring at the end of this one, James. We've seen a little bit of it over the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Elio was getting into it with Scott Speed, and
Scott Speed's not making friends out there either.
No,
he was all up in Ernie Francis's fenders too. Scott wanted.
He was.
Scott
That's
wanted
Scott though. Scott's aggressive, man.
He's always been.
He got banned from freaking iRacing because he was driving like an idiot. So
yep.
So James, it's a fun series. It's mostly for pride. I don't know what these guys are making as far as winning.
They're not making. Thing. Yeah, they're not making much. I don't think.
Is it freaking stupid to be fighting?
No,
to be
man,
upset with each other, and it
Nah.
seems kind of dumb to me.
Nah, man, that's short track racing right there. Go ahead.
It is, but just come on, like you're really gonna get. So you think? I mean,
do we have that on the soundboard still, or did that get removed?
What's that?
Do we have that sound on the soundboard still?
I don't remember what soundboard.
That short track racing. Do we still have that one?
Oh yeah,
from
short track racing.
There
you go. Thank you. Yes,
I was slipping there.
That's all right.
I don't know. For one thing, like, okay, so here's the deal. If I saw a fight at SRX, like the one we saw with Stadium Super Trucks this week,
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Bo Lamastis, which by the way, people were asking, was he being serious or not? Or I sat in the media center at Kentucky Speedway with Bo Lamastis doing a press conference, and that dude, I'll tell you what, that was 100% legit what happened in the Super Truck Series. He is something. He is entertaining. But if you saw a fight like that in SRX, I'd be like, yeah, here we go. They're goofing off. Yeah. It's a play fight. They're not really serious.
Yeah.
But they're like getting mad at each other.
That's what I like about this, though. I mean,
no, it just seems silly.
I know, but this is a made for TV product. And
it is.
Why
the hell did they cut off so quick at the end?
Well, I think they're stuck in a time slot that
I know.
That's a TV thing, which I don't like. But
because we had to run 76 laps because of 4th of July.
Yeah, I know.
Nice job, Ray.
Yeah, I know, Ray. Come on. But I love the. I want to see some bumping and grinding and shoving and guys mad at each other. That's fun, man.
I want to see some people fighting at Slinger this week.
Paul Tracy, for as much as he doesn't like me, he has brought some entertainment. He drives like a doofus, but he has definitely been entertaining. I mean, he's taken shots at Michael Waltrip, which I've enjoyed. Willie T and him are, that's pretty fun just because Willie T, I watched the Netflix documentary on him about a year ago, Eric. Didn't really, and shame on me for not really knowing the history of Willie T Ribs. But man, he's something else, man. He is a big personality. And that's one of the great things about SRX. You've got guys who are, they are personalities, man. They are big time personalities.
I will say that they're pretty much, I mean, with the exception of maybe Bobby Labonte and Bill Elliott, they are really big personalities.
They are, all of them. Elio is a big personality. Scott Speed, I mean, heck, I didn't know anything about Ernie Francis, but he's like a happy-go-lucky, bouncing around type of guy, which is pretty fun to see some of that excitement too.
Paul Tracy has stolen the show by not being great. He really has.
He has, yeah.
And
I will always remember he was the first caution in SRX history.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Props to the series for just doing the right things. The talking to the drivers during green flag is awesome. I absolutely love it. I would never want to see something like that in a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
But to do it during this is awesome.
Yeah.
How about Dario Franchitti as the analyst this week?
Yeah,
he did a great job. I had no idea that Dario was that good on the mic.
Yeah, him and Hinchtown they did really good stuff, man.
It's not hard to follow Danica Patrick, but
no, but and kudos to AB. We tout AB all the time, Mr. Alan Bestwick, but he's guiding these guys along and calling great races, as he does. I mean, he's a true professional. So the booth has been good. The product itself, made for TV for CBS, who does not do a whole heck of a lot of auto racing anymore. They've done a great job with what they've provided fans so far.
It's a good production. It's a good show. Even this week's race, which was not that exciting, was still a good product. I've come around. And James, the series has already given itself some legitimacy with how it's performed over the first 4 races. But they got a little bit more legitimacy this week because the champ, the most popular driver, is coming to SRX. Chase Elliott going to race his dad at Nashville Fairgrounds for the final race of the season.
Yeah, man. Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I hope that this is the beginning of what could be for this series going forward. Next year, looking ahead. Denny Hamlin's flirted with the series. But I'd love to see some of our Cup guys trickle on over. We've seen Haley Deegan come over. She's active in the truck series. But Eric, I would love to see like even a Dale Jr. or maybe
I was going to say Dale Jr. would be great on that.
Yeah, or a Jeff Gordon. I mean, why wouldn't these guys why wouldn't we have a superstar seat available for some guys like that who would want to?
We just need to run SRX run SRX at Martinsville, and Junior will be in.
Oh heck yeah, he'd run Martinsville. Yeah, absolutely. No, this is cool that Chase wants to do this. And it's big for this series. It's going to go out with a bang to have the champ coming in and racing. And I tell you what, I hope that I don't know about you, Eric, but I feel like there might be a little bit of pressure on Chase to come in there and win that thing. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, you're racing, you're in your prime right now, and you're racing against a bunch of guys that most of them aren't doing it anymore. You should be able to come in and smoke them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that should be the perception. You should be expected to come in and win. So
but, I think
it's pretty cool.
It adds a little bit more. This is kind of like the WWE, or I saw a great comparison that this is like the golfing channel show that they have that has like Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson and those guys golfing. This is kind of like that, but having a Chase Elliott come in makes it a little bit more legitimate. He's an active big time driver, and hopefully, this is hopefully he has a good experience and that he, talks it up, and maybe we can get more guys coming in next year for another run at this thing. So
cool way I think that adds a little legitimacy to it for me too, James, is the fact that we did have kind of a snoozer this week. It showed, if there was any doubt whether this was a show or whether it's legit racing, if it was a show, we wouldn't have had somebody run away with it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, that shows you this is legit. The racing that you're seeing, that's good racing up at the front, is pretty legit. Yep. I do still think, Tony's trying to make it a show when he's racing up front, but hey, good. I mean, it's a series. He should be doing that. So
yeah, absolutely. And he had a hard time this weekend. He didn't have it as easy as he did on the dirt, where he's definitely the best driver in the series on dirt. But so he's got some work to do heading into Slinger. If he wants to win the championship, he's gonna have to earn it. So pretty cool.
Before we get into news, like you said, Slinger this weekend for the SRX, and then we go to Nashville Fairgrounds for the final race of the season. Before we go into the news, though, James, I wanted to point out something. I've gotten a chance to listen to some podcasts this week, and so I listened to a couple of Dale Jr. downloads, and I listened to DBC. And Dale Jr. download had Clint Boyer on last week, and they had a little discussion. And I like to gloat when I was right. Or when I'm right. And I was right. James, did you hear the podcast?
I haven't listened to it. Nope. Drop it on me.
So I predicted at the beginning of the season, or when they announced the new car, the next gen car, that they were going to race it in the All-Star race. And then we got the All-Star race format announced. Everything happened. We ended up running the new car in the All-Star race. But Dale Jr. dropped the bomb that they had come to Junior. They came to Clint Boyer. They came to a bunch of these guys to run an exhibition race at the All-Star race with the new cars, a bunch of the retired drivers, Jeff Gordon, and they all bailed on it. They said no, they weren't going to do it. So NASCAR was going to try and put this thing on the track of the All-Star race. They just weren't going to run it for the full field. So, hey, I was right. My prediction was true. They just
kudos to you, my man. Good work.
It just felt like the timing was like there to do something like that.
Yeah, no, you were pretty close.
Yeah,
you got like a B+ on your prediction. I'll give it to you.
Right.
Well done.
Junior said his price was too high to to do that. Yeah. So let's talk some news, James. We may have gotten this week I would say arguably the biggest news we've had on this podcast since we started this podcast.
And we put our podcast out 12 hours too soon last week.
Right.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about Colleague Racing buying 2 charters from Spire Motorsports. Big deal. You know, it was
Yep.
a pretty heavy part of the conversation. I put in the notes here, Trackhouse said this week, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And just buys Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah. That was
Done.
huge. Yeah. We were joking.
Right, just man,
we were having a good old time joking about this breaking news that was coming, and we're like, oh, it's an associate sponsor or something silly like that. And it was legit news. Like, that's the biggest news we've had in a long time. Chip Ganassi's done. He's
like,
out.
even as it was happening, I don't think it registered with me how big this is.
Yeah.
I mean, we just took a mid to upper level cup team, and sold it. We had an up and coming team buy this team. We have
sold. Yep.
Yeah, we essentially lost at least 1, if not 2 cars in this deal, because, you know, Trackhouse already had Suarez in the fold, and now you're adding the 2. You know, we're adding a car from Chip Ganassi Racing, but it's not going to be Ross Chastain, it appears.
It doesn't look like it. It could be Kurt Busch.
Yeah, apparently Zane Smith, I think, is who they were talking about, is another one that was tapped to go to Chip Ganassi Racing next year. And that's not going to happen now for sure. So I mean, it's just really, really interesting. And like you said, we Chip Ganassi's no longer in the sport. You know, looking for charters, man, I guess the best way to do it is to buy a team. This team wasn't for sale. There was no talk of it being sold. Apparently there's talk that Richard Childress Racing was for sale, which I find that really interesting when Dale Jr. is looking for charters. How interesting would it be to see Dale Jr. partner with Richard Childress?
That would have been cool.
And have, well, still could happen.
Still could have, still up there.
Have Dale Jr. own the 3 and the 8 team in the Cup Series. How cool would that be?
That would be awesome. No, and you know, Eric, we've talked about this before. You know, we don't have a lot of these owners. I mean, a lot of these owners, Eric, are aging out. We've talked about this for a long time on this podcast, but we're seeing the transition now. Jeff Gordon is coming in. Brad Keselowski's coming in. Tony Stewart started this a little while back where he was kind of the young guy, but Eric, pretty soon Tony Stewart's going to be the old guy in the garage,
right?
With some of these guys transitioning out. I mean, Penske's holding strong, but we've lost Ganassi. Now we're going to Justin Marks. He's a young guy with Trackhouse. So yeah, we've got, that's not a bad idea. I feel like Richard Childress, who goes next? You know, does Mike Dillon run it or whatever? But yeah, it would be a really good idea. But yeah, this whole deal is a shocker, man. And if you're Ross Chastain, you gotta be like sick to your stomach about
this dude keeps getting screwed out of rides, man.
Yeah, he does. He definitely does. This is a tough one to swallow, I bet, for him, because there's a good chance he's not coming back to this team.
Yeah.
You know, this new team.
Yeah, and so it sounds like apparently Kurt Busch was already in talks with Trackhouse about going over there, and now he drives for the team that they just bought. Of course, not under contract for next year. Nope. So, and Kurt said, you know, this is a whole different deal now, because you're talking with now a team that consists of a bunch of people you've already worked with. So it's a whole different negotiation at this point now for him. I think, you know, they talked about it on DBC this week, James. I don't think there's a bigger free agent right now than Kurt Busch.
Probably not. No,
this is, I mean, you got Kurt Busch, you got Ryan Newman, but Kurt's still got some winning in him. I don't know what Newman does.
Yeah, Kurt's still fast.
Kurt's the perfect guy to come into an organization like this one and work with Daniel Suarez. He's a great guy to go into 2311 and work with Bubba. I mean, this is a guy that can not only teach, but also can get the job done. And not have the ego to where he's not going to work with those guys. I mean,
right.
So I think he's helped Ross Chastain a bit this year, you know.
He's kept that team afloat in the post Larson era. And you know, Eric, and I wonder too, when Chip saw what Larson did this last couple of weeks here, I just gotta wonder if he's like, you know, I'm never gonna get there. You know, I wonder if that was part of it, because you had that guy for all those years, and you see what he can do when he's, you know, leveled up in his equipment. And I just don't think Chip's ever gonna get there. But yeah, this is you know, Kurt's done a great job with this team. He's won races with this team. And I think he'd be a great fit at Trackhouse with Suarez to get it started. And I hate that for Ross Chastain, but I don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
Maybe maybe he's a fit at Roush Keselowski Racing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's right, every time we think silly season can't get any sillier. It's just going wild this year, man.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you that there's nothing that's not on the table. This is a team that nobody even would have thought that Chip Ganassi Racing was going to sell.
No, exactly. Yeah, losing Chip out of the sport's definitely a bummer, I think.
Yeah.
Though he's a big personality. Chip's a huge success in racing. He's not done racing by any means. He's got a lot of things going on, but
now it's like the only series other than Formula One that he's not in.
Yeah. Yep.
Chip doesn't often get the credit too. He's never had a top tier team, but he's always had a high end team. Yep. We forget that he was a back injury away from winning a championship with Sterling Marlin back in the day.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Sterling got hurt at Kansas.
Felix Sabatis. Yep.
Yeah. That was the last real chance. And then they brought Jamie McMurray in to fill in for Sterling, and Jamie goes and wins.
Yep.
And they had a competitive team for a while, and they've always been there,
Yeah, and they did what they had to do to survive too when the sport really had its downturn. They bought into Earnhardt Incorporated and brought that one car in and kept that team going for a little while, and it all eventually became Chip Ganassi Racing. But there was a time where we weren't sure for a lot of these teams, and Chip's been, he's not a top tier, but he's probably the first team underneath the top tier teams, and he's been there for a long time. Won a Daytona 500 with Jamie Mack, had a lot of success with Larson. So yeah, it's not a storied history, I wouldn't say, but a good history, very good history with that team.
Yeah, I agree. Big deal with Trackhouse. That's definitely just.
Yep, they got plans, man. Trackhouse is coming. They got plans.
They talked about it on DBC again. This is a team that went from renting to owning. Yep. This was a Richard Childress affiliate that was getting equipment from Richard Childress, and now they've got their own team, and they just put themselves in a whole new league.
Yep.
They came to play, man. Yep. Justin Marks doing some great stuff,
and they're running good on the track. Like, they got a good driver. They're bringing good equipment each week. They are running well and as good as they can. And they are they are a step ahead of a 2311, which I thought would be much better than them. And
that's what I was going to say. We joke about 2311.
That's the benchmark.
We joke about 2311 and money not being an issue over there. Trackhouse just said it's not an issue there either.
Exactly. Yeah. They showed it. Yep. And they went in and upped their, they upped it, and they've got their charter. They got their charters now, and they are locked in. So they're going to be a good team for a little while coming. I think they're going to eventually win some races here down the road. They might be 2 or 3 years away, but they're going to be there before too long. It's a good, well-run organization. They are trying. They're trying like hell to make it happen. So pretty cool.
Denny Hamlin, speaking of him, says that this deal will not affect 2311 and their search for a charter. So it sounds like he's still pretty confident that they're going to be able to get a second one for next year. Said there's all kinds of avenues you can take to get a charter. Is his line. He says we looked at a lot of things and are still looking at all options. So
maybe they'll buy a team.
At this point, who knows?
Yeah.
Rick Ware Racing says his stuff's not for sale, but
it's gonna be. Everybody has a price, my man.
Well, obviously, Chip Ganassi just proved it.
Chip Ganassi does. Yep.
We'll talk a little bit more silly season stuff before we get into some of the other news. Austin Cindric, we know it's coming to the Cup Series next year. We do not know for sure what car he's going to drive. Nope. It was questioned this week, and Tim Cindric says, well, Penske says we don't know yet whether he's going to be in the 2 car or the 21.
It's good. Safe to say he'll be the
Tim Cindric says he needs to keep going. He's got to keep the pedal down. That's all. So
he'll be in the 2, and the 21's looking for a driver. That's what I'm getting out of it.
Yep, I think so too. It'd be really interesting to see who jumps into that 21 car. I think short a victory and a playoff berth from Matt DiBenedetto, and he'll be looking for something else next year.
Probably,
unfortunately.
Yep.
So, but we talked about it with Eric Jones that, you feel bad for these guys, but you get the chance to prove it and you don't pull it off, then it's time to go looking for somebody else.
Yep.
And
Especially
this
the
is
contract here.
this is a team. This team is a placeholder team. And if you aren't going to fill that place in the future, then there's somebody else is going to take your spot.
That's right. Yep. Next man up.
Yep. Speaking of Eric Jones, he says he's been talking to Richard Petty Motorsports about 2022, about them picking up his option. Says he's happy. This per Bob Pockris, James's buddy Bob,
my friend.
Eric Jones says he's had talks with RPM about picking up his option. So he's happy driving for the team and working on things to get better results. But sounded like where he lands for 2022 is still uncertain.
Yeah, I got from that. I will take it if it's the only option I have.
Yeah, that's how I take it too.
Yeah, yep, that's the way I felt about it anyway.
Yep, I think so. James, I know we have a moment of mourning here. Your favorite series is no longer. NASCAR and NBC agreed to pull the plug on the NASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series.
Oh, thank God.
I mean, this, I know you weren't a fan of it even during the pandemic. This was great during the pandemic because it gave us something to do. It cost
those early days of the
pandemic. It cost a driver a season, and it cost another driver a sponsor.
Yep.
Which shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
For something fun, we talk about SRX and that they shouldn't be fighting there, but this is even more of a fun thing. It got too serious, and as you'd expected, the sponsors ruined it. People, then we decided to bring kids in to race and all this stuff, and it just got dumb. I applaud NBC. If I'm assuming that they had to have some say in this. I applaud them for agreeing not to run this and just move on.
I'm good with it.
There is an e-racing series for NASCAR that you can watch. It's on YouTube. They stream every week. And it's a great series, and they've got a good announcer. If you want to check it out, it's the production quality is good and it's legit racing and none of this gimmicky crap that we tried to do.
And NASCAR and iRacing are good buddies. There's a big partnership there. And we'll talk about it probably shortly that NASCAR is using iRacing to test, and they're doing a lot of stuff on there. So iRacing and NASCAR are good. They're just not doing the Pro Invitational anymore. Which is
like you said, I'm totally good with this. I didn't watch it once the pandemic was over because there's real racing.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
So, and these guys were getting forced to do it because their sponsors wanted to be out there. It wasn't a great situation.
Remember Brad Keselowski won a race and just was did not want to do any sort of interviews afterwards. Just completely done with it. So yeah, is what it is.
And then more big news this week. Atlanta Motor Speedway will repave and reconfigure after this weekend's races, going from 24 to 28 degrees of banking, skinning the track up a little bit. And I don't know. I think I'm excited about the changes. I would have liked to see him go back to the oval and not the quad oval, but so the drivers are all real excited about it.
The drivers are not excited about it. They are mad.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin is mad.
I'm finding his tweet right now, so I'll go ahead and filibuster.
Denny Hamlin said his comments, and then Blunt Larson, hashtag Blunt Larson from Jeff Gluck. He's back saying he wishes he had input. And then I saw a retreaded video from Kyle Petty's little, what is it, Coffee with Kyle or whatever he does, of Tony Stewart saying a couple of years ago that him and 20 other drivers were talking to NASCAR about things that they could do to fix things. And NASCAR doesn't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it from the drivers. They want to do their own thing. And these tracks are doing their own thing. So
Jenna Fryer tweets, I say this this is a quote from Speedway Motorsports Senior Vice President for Operations and Development, Steven Swift, who says, I kind of jest. I don't know if that quote's correct. When a driver is happy about our racetrack, usually the fans aren't. We want to make sure that what we're creating is what the fans want to see. And Denny Hamlin tweets, with all due respect, this is the same group has reconfigured Texas, Kentucky, Bristol with zero driver input. One of those lost a race. Other one we don't race anymore. And last one we put a dirt over it. But hey, what do the drivers know? You can't argue with Denny.
No, they did ruin Bristol and Texas. Like
Yeah.
Texas wasn't great to begin with, but Texas is terrible. And Bristol, yeah, they put dirt on it to try to fix it. That's how bad it
Only
is.
argument against Denny that I will say is that what they're doing here at Atlanta is essentially what they did at Las Vegas. And they took a track that was terrible in Las Vegas and made a good racetrack. And James, I think you'll agree, we've talked about it before, that this aero package that we're currently on, which I'm sure is a lot of what we're going to see with this next package, is tailor-made for a track like Las Vegas. And so in theory, it will be tailor-made for a track like Atlanta with the updates. So
here's the problem I have with all of this is Atlanta used to be a pretty good show and great finishes and great racing, and how many side-by-side at the line finishes we had back in the Twisted Sister days, Eric. We had some really good racing in Atlanta, and NASCAR's continued to change the car, change the rules, and the track's gotten worse and worse with all the changes. And now the rules are so convoluted that now let's just tear her up and do something different because the car sucks.
They have to repave the thing.
They do. Yep, they do. That is
if they just slap a new coat of asphalt on what they have, it's going to suck. So I give Speedway Motorsports some credit for trying something. I do agree that they probably should have gotten some input from the drivers. Even if you take that input and throw it all in the trash, at least ask the question.
Well, they did test it in iRacing, right? They got what they wanted in iRacing.
They're trying to make a mini super speedway. I hope it works because that'll be awesome to watch.
Yeah, if it works, it'll be great. Yeah.
I have my doubts. We also predicted, and the iRacing model showed that we were going to go to Michigan and run super speedway type racing, and we've never done that.
Yeah.
So
never did that. No.
And all the testing that we've done on iRacing with the next gen car is all fictitious because that car has never been on the track with more than one other car on the track with it, or maybe two or three.
Yep.
We don't know what it races like. We don't know what it runs in the pack like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I fear that we're going to spend a bunch of money to do this and do like we did with Bristol and just make it worse. But at the same time, I don't know what track people are watching that they think Atlanta's so great right now. I don't think they can make it much worse, in my personal opinion. I think Atlanta's terrible right now. So I don't know. Yeah. I applaud them for trying something. It worked at Vegas. Hopefully it'll work here. At least we're not staying in pat. This is something, James, that this was made possible by the fact that we don't run Indy cars on these tracks anymore. Yes. Because, the reason we got the cookie cutter 1.5 mile tracks is because they worked for IndyCar and NASCAR, and they had to be super smooth because they had to work with IndyCar. Yep. And they couldn't have high banks because if you ran the high banks, they couldn't handle the G forces.
Yep.
So now that we don't have that, we can jack the banking up.
Eric, when do we hear about Michigan's repave? Is that coming in a couple of weeks too?
I don't know, man.
Are we just going to keep blowing up tracks until we, figure eight and crash everybody? Is that the goal here?
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious what news we'll eventually hear about Chicagoland. I'm curious what news we'll eventually hear about Kentucky. I think
Chicagoland's dead. I'm pretty sure Chicagoland's dead.
I think Chicagoland's dead too. I feel like Kentucky has some life in it somehow, some way. I feel like
Kentucky's on life support, barely breathing. I
feel like so the thing that Kentucky has going for it is there's nothing where Kentucky is. Yeah. So they're not going to, other than storing Amazon trailers there, which they're doing now. Yeah. There's really not any value in bulldozing that place. Whereas Chicagoland, that place is worth a ton.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like there's something they could maybe do at Kentucky. I feel like the amount of effort and money that was spent to give that track a date on the Cup Series, that it'd be hard for them to continue to not have a date there.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, if SMI can go and get the Nashville Fairgrounds going and and run the race at Circuit of the Americas and all that stuff, that maybe they don't care about Kentucky anymore. And whatever. Yep. I mean, Kentucky sucks. The race is terrible there. Without some work, it shouldn't be back on the schedule. But I don't know. I hope this works. There was a picture that was on Reddit I shared in our group today that
I saw
shows
that
a close up of the surface at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And if you take a close look,
it's a cheese grater. It's a cheese grater.
It is ridiculous. I cannot believe how bad that surface is.
And that's why the drivers like it so much, because it's tire wear, and they actually have to drive it. Which
the thing is if we have, first of all, if we have a weekend in Atlanta like we had in Texas last year, everybody will be calling for this place to be repaved because any moisture in this place is just going to come up.
Yeah,
and it's going to hold the moisture, and you will never get it dry.
Yeah,
so
this track is in desperate need of a repave, and we've pushed it off because the racing's been decent there, but it's not been great. But it
hasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
it hasn't been good. It's going to be worse when they repave it.
Yeah. Yep.
And we know it's going to be worse, but it hasn't been repaved since 1997. People,
I know
that is insane.
Man. I know that's a long time.
Dale Earnhardt was still racing on it.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, any other news, James? Did I miss anything? I jumped around a little bit.
The only thing you missed was we talked about the new car a little bit, but Martin Truex Jr. says,
"Oh yeah,
if he doesn't like it, he's out of here."
Yeah,
so that's the only thing you missed.
Peace. See you later.
I don't blame him. That's what all these drivers have been saying.
Yeah,
that's what Carl Edwards did.
Brad Keselowski said the same thing. Brad Keselowski's still racing, so whatever. I mean, now Keselowski's buying a team.
Well, Brad Keselowski's got a shot at ownership, so yeah, he's going to. Well, I mean, Carl Edwards is the one who said this is not going the right way, and he screamed and kicked and screamed and cried and didn't like it, and then all of a sudden was gone. So
this isn't a slam on Truex at all. I like Truex. I
don't blame Martin Truex for this one. Yeah,
that's the thing is okay, cool. So
you don't like it, go and leave.
If you're not having fun, he's got the money. Get out of here. Yeah, that's cool. Great, awesome.
No, and that's the same thing for fans out there too. You don't like it, turn it off.
Yeah,
but
I applaud. If you mentioned Carl Edwards, I applaud what Carl Edwards did.
He was done. Yeah, he was done.
Yeah.
He had his shot.
It's a bummer. I'd love to see him still in the sport somehow, but hey,
yeah,
good for him.
No, and that's the thing about fans too. Like, you don't like it, leave.
Yep.
Turn it off. Go watch something else. Don't bitch and complain and keep turning in every week, because if you're watching every week, you sure like something. So
yep, exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch NASCAR, you're still giving NASCAR the impression they're doing the right thing. So
I mean, I hate watching NASCAR sometimes. I can't. I'm just kidding. But seriously, sometimes I
All right, James. Guess what we're doing this weekend, James?
We're going dirt track racing.
We're going dirt track racing again.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The Truck Series heads to Knoxville Raceway. It is the Corn Belt 150, presented by Premier Chevy Dealers. I'm irritated and excited all at one time because I wish this was Eldora, but that's it. I'm with you. I'm optimistic after seeing SRX here that this will be a good show. Excited to be on the dirt again with the Truck Series. The Xfinity and Cup Series are at Atlanta this weekend. The Xfinity Series is the Credit Karma Money 250 from Atlanta, and the Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart, formerly from Kentucky Speedway, is at Atlanta this weekend for the Cup Series.
That's right.
We get to make our picks, and I get to pick first, James, because while I beat you again this weekend, 90-77.
You're chipping away closer and closer.
Chipping away, but I am still behind you by 4 points now, 1892 to 1888. So because of that, I get to pick first, and I have to remember what I was deciding for the Truck Series. Because
a fun one you can't pick. Well, I mean, you can pick them, but you'll get 0 points. But a fun driver that's in this race, Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, that's a good.
And also, a guy who is earning points if you want him, Donnie Schatz, the legend. Donnie Schatz is running his first ever NASCAR race.
I am going to go with the easy pick here, I think, and just go with a past Eldora winner, a good runner at Bristol on the dirt earlier this season.
Son of a gun.
And I'm going to go Grant Enfinger as my pick.
I didn't see that coming. That opens things up for me a little bit.
Wait, hold on.
Is this like chess?
Hold on, because what is Grant Enfinger running? I have to find, because if he's not running the Thor Sport truck, I don't want to pick him.
I'll hold on. I'm looking at it right now. Let me find Grant Enfinger. He is running.
I forget.
He's running for Mike Curb. So yeah, he's in the 98.
Okay. I'm picking Grant Enfinger then. There you go.
Son of a gun.
Well, so I'm leaving Matt Crafton for you.
Yeah,
is that who you're picking?
Yeah. Well, he's a consistent. This is not my pick, but I want to go on the record.
Okay.
I was like 49%. I was going to take Haley Deegan, but I will not take Haley Deegan.
That's a really good pick, actually.
I was going to take her because I thought for sure you were going to take this guy, Stuart Friesen. I will take Stuart Friesen.
Yeah, Stuart's a good pick.
Because I just feel like he's a legit threat to win. If you took Friesen, I was going Deegan. So
man, I wish I'd have taken Friesen then.
But knowing I don't have the cojones to take Haley Deegan and watch her go out and win this race. That would be something. But I'll take Stuart. I'll take Stuart.
I like Enfinger for points.
Yeah, he's going to be good. Ben Rhodes, I think.
Friesen worries me because Friesen is a win or crash guy.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But he's a Pastel Door winner too. So I like my odds there. But yeah, Crafton was there too. But we know Haley Deegan was really good at the SRX race here. So I was really like looking at that, thought, man, she might have a really good day here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about Haley Deegan.
I'm like, son of a gun.
That'd be a great pick.
I know. I really wish I had the stones to take her because she's probably going to steal the show. So we'll see. I don't know. I got a good feeling about her.
Is she in good enough of a truck?
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. But you know what? She was really good. In the lower series, winning at Vegas. And
she drives for DJR, right?
Yeah, she drives David Gillen. Yep.
So I mean, Todd's won a race this year and he's been up front. So you think she's got the equipment to do it?
It's a decent truck. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
Well, we'll see what she does. We'll see what she does. But yeah, first race at Knoxville. I'm excited about it. I mean, I am excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited about it.
We talked about it with SRX, Eric, and SRX had me a little bit more excited for this show.
Yeah.
Than I was before. So I think we're gonna see a decent event here.
Yeah, I was worried about the lack of banking here compared to Eldora.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's a different track. It's a completely different style of track, but
yeah, it won't be as good as Eldora. I don't think that's asking a lot to be as good as Eldora.
The thing that worries me about these tracks is I always think back to the ARCA tracks on dirt, but the ARCA runs mile tracks, and a mile on dirt is a whole different deal than a half mile.
That's right.
These half mile dirt tracks are pretty good. They keep things nice and close. So,
and this is a flat one. And I mean, we just saw it with SRX 3 weeks ago. So
should we take bets and give bonus points to whether the Fox crew, whether Vince Welch is actually on the property?
They better be on the ground. They better be.
They're going to be in the Charlotte studio.
They're so crappy and cheap.
It's ridiculous.
God, it's annoying.
Let's head across the country to Atlanta to the Xfinity Series Credit Karma Money 250. James, I'm gonna take the easy pick here, and I'm gonna go with the guy who won in the spring, and I'm gonna go Justin Allgaier as my pick for this one.
Very good. Very good.
Really want to go with Daniel Hemrick, but I just can't do it. He's bit me too many times.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So let me see, who am I? So I'm not able to pick Austin Cindric here.
Yeah.
Man, let me see. I'm looking. I don't know who I wanted. I wanted to take Hemrick, but I don't know. I just don't know about it.
That was, by the way, was also a defensive pick from me. I was kind of taking that because I took Allgaier because I thought you might go that direction. So
yeah. Let me look at one more thing. Filibuster for me for just a second. So you took Justin Allgaier. I will fight back. I'll fight back and go Harrison Burton as my pick here this week.
My alternate was AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah, he'll be good. He'll be good here.
But I can't pick him because I picked him this past week.
That's right. Yep, that's right.
The Cup Series, James, I got to do it.
No, I don't blame you.
Got to go Kyle Larson on this one.
Yeah, when you get the first pick and you can take Kyle Larson, you got to do it. I don't blame you, my man. Do your thing.
Yeah.
This is where. This is the race. So last time we were here, this is the race where we were like, hey, Kyle Larson, really fast. He led 269 laps. And remember, lost it late to Ryan Blaney.
Yep.
So Eric, you went Larson. I'll combat you, and I will take Mr. Alex Bowman. I'll take that Hendrick horsepower. I'll take that Hendrick horses. So we're not going to take Ryan Blaney.
Nah, I wouldn't take Blaney.
But he hasn't done much of anything lately, so I don't know.
I feel like I would take William Byron over Alex Bowman. I don't know why. I just feel like I would.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. That's hard. I typically like to pick. I typically like to pick Bill, but Bowman. I think Bowman's just gonna have a better day. He's just finding his way around these places.
Yeah.
So I'll take him.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good pick.
Okay.
Pretty much if you pick Hendrick is a good pick right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You gotta, if you're going Larson, I feel like I have to fight fire with fire. And take Alex or take somebody from the camp. So
I'm glad you didn't take Chase Elliott, because I want to cheer for him this weekend too, because hey, it's his home track. Want to see him get the win there. So
yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Fantasy League, James. This was an awesome week for fantasy. I took the cupboard and cleaned it out.
So do you have anybody left after that?
Yeah, I do. I still have like one start left. I don't have anybody that I'm out of starts with.
Yeah,
but have like, I'm down to one on Larson, and I'm down to one on, I forget who else. I think Chase might be down to one.
Yeah. I tried to, I don't have anybody less than 2. I have a bunch of 2s, but yeah, I tried to strategize this one, and boy, did that bite me in the butt. I had so right before the race started, I had Michael McDowell in the lineup, and I go, I'm gonna swap McDowell for, you guessed it, Daniel Suarez, who didn't even make the green flag. So I was like, well, crap. So I took him out, and then Cindric broke, and then I had 2 guys with 1 point, and I had to have one of them in there. So it was a mess after that. So that was rough day for me. But
Yeah,
Eric, you had a monster day.
I stuck with Kyle Busch because I figured that, Kyle's gonna run good here.
Yeah.
I picked Chase, of course. Yeah, I've got 1 start left for Chase.
And these road course strategy pick calls really are terrible for fantasy. It's maddening. It's maddening when your guys are like, I had Truex and he pulled down pit road. I'm like, no, it's 9 stage points. I need those.
I had Larson and Truex as well, and then James, I'm telling you, man, sneaky good on road courses. Everybody overlooks him, but Tyler Reddick was on my lineup.
He was good. Yeah, I had him kind of in the back of my mind, and I went with McDowell over him, and then I went with Suarez over him. So it was not good. But Eric, you got the win big time, 226 over Team Draftona, and then Green Eggs and Hamlin. It was a pretty wide berth for everybody. I was literally, Eric, 102 points behind you in 12th. So with that, Mr. All Alone in second place is no more. You are 5 points ahead in second place behind Ranger Runyon. So Eric, we are the top 2 of 3 in the league, but Ranger in his own area code. Then you and I are real close, and then we got a little bit of a gap to Fast to the Grass, Justin 713, Team Draftona, all right there. Under a blanket, basically. So it's close at the top. We're all pretty close, but Eric, we can say this: we are in the 3,700 club. There's only 3 of us in the 3,700 club. So
nice.
As
much as I hate fantasy, to be running in second place is pretty amazing.
It's pretty fun to win when you win like that. So I just had one of those weeks myself, and I really enjoyed it. And then I hated it again the week after.
Well, I just gave up on trying to strategize for the rest of the season, and I'm like, I'm just going to play it week by week and just go for wins. Yep. And
yeah,
I might suck going into the playoffs, but whatever.
Yeah, I went all road course guys, and man, that really sucked.
Dude, I was gonna put both AJ Allmendinger and Austin Cindric in because I forgot
I had them starting.
Because I'm so confused because I'm conflicted because with our thing you can't pick them if they're not earning points in the series, but for fantasy they do earn points.
They get points. Yep.
Yeah, so I was confused with that and forgot that I could pick them. And then everybody's talking about how great Cindric was in practice and how he's probably going to win this race. And I know.
I know. Terrible.
I've learned not to listen to the fantasy shows before the race because every time I'm in the car in the morning on Sunday and they start talking about on Sirius who the good picks are, I go and throw those people in and I do terrible with them.
Yeah. So. Positive Regression does a good job with their like contrarian contender and then their race picks, but yeah, it's tough. It's hard. Very hard.
James, you got any shout? I got a shout out this week, but I can't remember what it was.
It's that time of the year. It's that time of the year, Eric, on a streaming service called Peacock.
Oh yeah.
You can find for a limited time in front of the paywall, Lost Speedways with Dale Jr. I already finished it. It's great.
Is there less Dillner?
Yes, much less Dillner, more Junior.
God.
There's only one episode that Junior doesn't go to the track. Every other one.
Here's the question. I'm halfway through the first season and I just can't stomach it to go back. should I just start the second season or do I need to finish the first season?
I would say try to beat that paywall. I'm not sure what day it comes up.
See, I have
you
Peacock.
you don't have to worry about it. You're a subscriber. So
yeah, I'm a subscriber.
Honestly, Eric, I don't think you have to watch all of them. Watch the ones you want and go from there. I will say they go to Texas World Speedway. That is probably my favorite one they've done.
That's the one I'm most excited about. Like if I just was gonna watch the ones I want to watch, I would jump to that one first.
Yeah, it's the best one.
Myrtle Beach looks exciting too, because I know Junior's got a lot of
that's the finale, and I finished that one this morning, and that one, that's probably the best.
Apart a little bit.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best episode they've done. I was more excited for Texas World, but Myrtle Beach is that's a personal one for Dale Jr., so that's a good one.
Texas World fascinates me because it's like a good Michigan.
Well, and that's the thing, is you get the history of Texas World, and with that you get the history of Michigan. And I did not know there was a track called Eastern International Speedway, which I've started to look up. I haven't found much on it just yet. I haven't really had the time. But there was a conglomerate of racetracks revolving around Michigan. Michigan was the first one, and then all the other ones were, Atlanta and Texas World and a couple others. But there's this Eastern International Speedway. I got to figure out what that one is and do some digging on that one. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The history of Texas World Speedway, and it's a massive, most of the ghost tracks they go to are half miles and smaller.
Right.
Texas World Speedway obviously is the same thing as Michigan. It's giant. So very cool. And it's honestly, spoiler alert, Texas World Speedway is no longer there. It's just a hill.
Yeah.
But in this episode, it's still there when they filmed it. Some of it's still there. So pretty cool. It's big. It's massive, man. It's just a giant facility in disrepair. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of Michigan testing had been done there in the past with NASCAR.
Yep.
But basically, there was talk years ago when California was as bad as it was about adding banking to that place and trying to make it into a super speedway. Well, it already had been done.
Yep.
And it was Texas World Speedway. I mean, this is basically a super speedway version of Michigan.
Yep.
So.
Yep, pretty cool. It's a good show. Dale Jr. does a great job. Your boy Dylan there, he's good. Some of the people you'll see on the episodes are Dick Berggren. He makes an appearance, which is fun. A handful of others, but it's they did a great job with it this year. I really enjoyed that show. I wish there was more episodes, honestly, but it's good. Very good.
Cool. I can't remember my shout out, so I'm just going to skip it. I will regret that because I will remember as soon as we're done recording and go, damn it. But with that, it's our new segment of the show and tell, with our YouTube video. We'll discuss it here, obviously, so you guys that are listening on the podcast can check it out as well, or can hear about it. But if you want to see what we're showing off, you can go to youtube.com and search for Dream Bigger Media and find the podcast on there. James, I'll start us out. So back a long time ago, we used to go to MIS every year. We went 2 races a year. Yep. And we would spend a significant amount of time at the souvenir trailers on the off-track property.
The good stuff.
Juniper Hills is where we used to stay at Michigan. They had a great souvenir section there. Spent hours and hours and hours over the weekend shopping around there, and we stumbled across these cars. They're called Woodens, and they are wooden cars. They were carved from wood, and I don't know the full story because they don't exist anymore. But my understanding was that they were hand carved by a gentleman who was handicapped. He was in a wheelchair. And this is a solid block of wood. So this is the very first wooden car that we got. This was the Rick Wilson number 4 Kodak film car. Yes, Rick Wilson, I believe, not Ernie Irvin. Despite the fact that there's no name on it, I believe it was Rick Wilson at the time.
Yeah. The Chevy Lumina body though, which is
yes. This is solid wood. It is heavy.
Oh yeah,
very cool deal. So what we plan to do is we plan to purchase the winner of the race every year when we went to MIS, and then I don't remember what exactly happened, but somehow we wound up with the next year a Bill Elliott.
Nice.
Number 11 Budweiser.
Those are awesome. They are made out of wood. They look fantastic.
Solid wood. And then in 1992, we had a couple tragic accidents that took the lives of Davey Allison and Alan Kowicki.
No way. These are gonna
So
be cool.
we bought the Davey Allison and Alan Kowicki Woodens, and these are the last two I have.
That Davey Allison one is sharp. That's
very
cool,
sweet
man.
looking cars. There is a small chip in the valence here on the Alan Kowicki car from me playing with it.
Of course,
when I wasn't supposed to, because they were supposed to be just on the shelf. This one's the Quickie one's got a few marks on it, but otherwise, we also have, I don't have it, it's here in the box, I just didn't get it out. We have a Daytona 500 pace car as well. That one's still in the box.
That's awesome. I did not know about those. That's really
never
cool.
seen them since then. We've asked about them when we've gone to the track. Nobody knows anything about them. I've never been able to find anything online about them. But they're pretty darn cool. And even if the story behind them is not true about the person who built them or made them, they're still pretty awesome. So
Eric, you might have to go on Reddit and put those up there and ask. That might be your place, man. To find out.
That's a good idea, actually.
And ask about.
That's a good idea. I want to go on Reddit too, and I want to start digging to try and see if I can track down these race win diecasts that I want to get of the races that I've covered, especially the Cowbush Chicagoland one. I'm willing to put some money up for that one if anybody knows a one.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I bet you Juniper Hills would have them if you went back there this year.
Maybe. Yeah,
they might. They have a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, now they made it really difficult though, because the track doesn't own that property, and so it's really hard to get there because they don't want it to be convenient.
No, of course not. Of course not. We spent some time there though a couple of years ago. I mean, I was over there. I got I'm not going to grab it right now, but I got a die cast of Tony Stewart's IROC car from 2001.
Nice.
From Juniper Hills, which I really like.
I would kill for a full set of 12 IROC cars of one.
Yeah, it's a.
I don't even know if you can get them. I don't even know if you can put them together, but
it's a cool die cast. I really like that car a lot. Which is
there's not a series that I like more than the IROC series. Those when they ran the Firebirds, those cars were awesome.
Yeah, and at Michigan too, they were great. They were really
they
good.
were.
But all right,
your turn, James.
My show and tell. So these are from when I was a little kid too. I went die casting with you, but I went with the 1 144th scale mini cars. They're gonna be hard for me to show on camera. I don't know. Hold on, let me show my camera here. Hold on. I gotta make sure I can show my selfie so I can see what I'm doing. They're hard to see. Let me grab two at a time here.
I believe I had a bunch of these.
So here's the King. Look how small that is.
I had a bunch of these.
Yeah. Here's the King, and then here's Davey.
Nice.
Which has got a little bit of a mark on it, but Davey's in pretty decent shape for being a kid's car. But yeah, 1 144 scale. I got Sterling Marlin in the Maxwell House 22.
Nice. I don't think I had that one.
Look how small they are. I did. Look how small they are. They were my favorite.
Do you have the haulers too, or just the cars?
I do have the haulers. They're in a box somewhere though. I'm trying to see if I have one up here. I don't think I do. I might have an Ernie Irvin one up here, but I've got this Ernie Irvin one as well. But nice. Then Eric, you may remember that they upgraded eventually with the 1 144 scales. So I have my 1997 collection, which is Ernie Irvin as well. But they had a little bit more jealous. Yeah, they had a little more detail, and they had the plastic windows as well. But they had the contingency decals, and like if I get really close, like you can see the Ford emblem. It's so hard to see these. It's not a great show and tell. One of my favorite cars that I own is in this size. It's the Davey Allison throwback.
Oh man,
Isn't that cool?
A pretty car. That is awesome. I love that car.
And it's so cool because it's so small. And then when Ernie switched over to Skittles, I got a couple of those.
Nice.
Those
I had a couple that size, but I did not have much of a collection.
Yeah, they're really cool. I have a handful of them, but those are the ones I could easily grab. But yeah, I got the King and Davey. So it's they're cool. I just was like, hey, that's kind of a cool show and tell. I don't even think they make those anymore. I haven't seen them in years, but yeah, they're kind of a fun little collectible to have.
I would really like to dig into the 188 scale and do a 188 scale track. Because there's I didn't realize 188 scale even existed.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that I want to have like all the safety vehicles and stuff. And it's hard to find all that in 188 scale, which I've discovered that in 164 scale, you can get all of that stuff.
Yep.
Mostly I discovered it because of Barron Speedway and all the stuff he has. But
of course.
One of these days I'm going to build a track It will not be anywhere as near as cool as Barron Speedway, but I will.
Well, now you got your permanent residence. You got to make it happen.
All right. Yeah, I know. So, all right. Anything else, James?
No, that was show and tell.
If people want to chat with you about your 1 and 1, what was it? 1 and
144 scale.
There you go. 1 and 144 scale diecast collection. How can they do that on social media?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at T Super Speedway on Twitter, and you can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/The Super Speedway. You can check back and view our live episode from a couple episodes ago, and we hit episode 200. That's on Facebook, and also find links to the other episodes of the podcast. You can find our podcast on the web at thesuperspeedway.com. You'll find past race coverage, links to other episodes, links to you'll find our show notes, links to the articles we've discussed in the podcast. All that stuff can be found there, thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. And you can find us on YouTube. If you search for Dream Bigger Media, you can get the video version of the podcast on there as well. Or check out Facebook or the website. You can find links to all that on there as well. So with that, we had dirt track racing, James. We go Friday night to Knoxville Raceway in Iowa, and then we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway to finish the weekend off with the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. We'll be back next week to break it all down and get ready for New Hampshire, I believe. And then we get a break because of the Olympics coming up.
Yes, we do. I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll figure out how we would handle all that when we get to that point. But we'll be back next week to discuss it, break down Atlanta and Knoxville, and be back with you to break the rest of it down as well. I am stretching this out as long as possible. Let's just get the heck out of here. Everybody, let's go racing.